I actually grew up in the foster system. I was abandoned at birth. So I'm really passionate about trying to help kids who are in foster care. The 13 different foster homes that I was in, only one of them didn't sexually, physically, and mentally abuse me.
Okay, we're back. My name is Attorney Vincent Davis. I'm here tonight with my co-hosts, as in plural, Mr. Brian Hamilton and Ms. Erin Carranza. Brian is a local therapist who works with people that have CPS cases, and Erin is a local resident who has been a CPS victim. But right now, folks, we're going to turn the show into an interview with our special guest, Miss Lucinda Pennington. Miss Pennington, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. What state are you in?
I'm in Missouri.
Ah, the great state of Missouri. You know, my relatives on my father's side are from Missouri. The great show me state. The great show me state.
Yeah, well, I don't really care for Missouri, but
okay. So tell me, what are you doing here on this crazy conspiracy theory show called The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win?
Well, I actually grew up in the foster system. I was abandoned at birth. So I'm really passionate about trying to help kids who are in foster care. The 13 different foster homes that I was in, only one of them didn't sexually, physically, and mentally abuse me. So my passion is to try to get families aware of what's going on. I've actually, here in Missouri, shut down 5 foster homes, 4 group homes. I've closed 127 cases, returned 353 children back to their families. Not necessarily to the parents, but to kinship. I just closed the case last week with 3 children returned back to their families. I've had 9 TPRs turned back to reunification as an advocate. I help the lawyers fight CPS by using their own rules and guidelines, their contract manual, which I published Missouri's already, but I have one that I'm going to be releasing for every single state of their actual rules and guidelines that they are supposed to be following. This one here, Missouri alone, it's almost 800 pages. So what I do is we fight CPS for their own rules and guidelines. We've won intervenes. We've had CPS in contempt of court, and we have cases where CPS will be leaving the courtroom and say, F the judge, we're going to do it this way. We record everything. We let the judge know. And they get in a lot of trouble. So I've actually, here in Missouri, Cass County, I exposed a supervisor forging a police report. You and I do that, we'd get 30, 40 years in jail. But she got a promotion and over another county, so she's now supervisor over 2 counties. And so what I do is I teach parents how to document, how to hold them accountable, teach them all the softwares. I teach them, I've gotten caseworkers where they would call the parents in the middle of the night, say, you can't have a visit tomorrow unless you give me drugs. I forward that anonymously to the judge. We have court on Monday. Judge ordered the caseworker to take a drug test, which a lot of people don't realize is caseworkers are not required to do drug testing. So the judge, after hearing the recording from my parent, proceeded to demand a drug test from the caseworker. Supervisor stood up, said, by the way, Judge, we don't drug test our employees. This is not standard. And he goes, I'm going to have you tested as well. Both of them tested positive for meth and cocaine and was fired that day. So that's what I do. I help these parents start exposing what they're doing. and I get the toughest cases. We just settled a case out of Florida that was a breech baby. They kidnapped the baby at birth just a few hours after the birth, all because the baby had bruising on the bottom from a breech birth. And so that's what I do. Like I said, I've closed 127 cases so far. I used to have a contract with CPS as a parenting company. And what I would do is I would do the visitation and give the report to the court as a third party. Well, they don't like that too well because I would expose them for what they were doing. So I'm also felt like when I was a parenting company, see a need, fulfill that need, and I would use my profits. I opened up a facility that offered counseling, therapy, parent education, drug testing. I even had 2 rooms set up for if my parent was homeless. They could stay there for 6 weeks while I helped them get a job and stuff like that. And after closing so many cases and causing such a problem for the guardian ad litem, I ended up losing my contract. So that's where I'm at right now. In fact, today I've been working really hard. I don't know if I lost you guys. Did I lose you guys?
We can still hear you audio-wise, but we did lose your video feed. But keep going.
So today I've been raising money, having a yard sale to raise money for that family that we won the intervene that they said F the judge. Well, the judge gave that family last Wednesday a adoption hearing for October 22nd. So CPS is really, really upset about that right now. And they told the aunt that they weren't gonna do her home study or anything to get her approved. And she goes, "That's okay. I'll go do it privately." And of course, that costs money. It's $1,000 just for the home study. So we had a yard sale today, all weekend, trying to raise the money that we need to help this family get the 2 boys out of foster care, which they've already been abused and one was sent to a work farm. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Lucinda, let me stop you for a second before we go any further. I want to know, and I'm sure the audience wants to know, how do we get in touch with you when we want your help or consultation on a CPS case?
Well, you can come through my Facebook. But Facebook puts me in Facebook jail an awful lot. But anyway, I haven't been able to make any videos in the last couple of months. But they can contact me through my website, Overcomers Counseling Center, inc.com.
Okay, hold on a second, because I'm writing this down, and you're going too fast. Your website is Overcomers
Counseling Center. Here, I'll type it in the Overcomers Counseling Center, inc.com. I'm going to be doing a class here on August 24th on how to teach parents how to document, how to be able to hold CPS accountable and know the rules and guidelines of their state. Not every rule and guideline is the same. A lot of times we win by, I use the system against the system. So what I do is when they tell, say, kinship, absolutely not. You cannot have these children. What I do is I say, okay, back off. And what we do is we go through the private agencies to get them foster care license or adopted care license. Then we file and intervene as foster care instead of kinship and get it before the judge. And then the CPS is like, wait a minute, that's the family we told no. And the judge will say, are you licensed? And they're like, yep. And the judge will say, sorry, nothing I can do.
Lucinda, Lucinda, hold on a second, because we're going to keep you on most of the evening here. What is your telephone number if I want to contact you? 816-255-5375. Repeat it one more time.
816 255-5375.
Do you have an email address that we can contact you at?
Yes, it's just LucindaGracePennington@yahoo.com.
Okay. Lucinda, as you are here on the live stream with us, is it possible that you could type that information into the comments that we'll post to the different social media sites? So your website, your email, and your telephone number. Do you see how you can post in the comments there?
Yep, I'm doing that now.
Okay. Very good. We're going to be talking some more because you're doing exactly what Aaron wants to do and is doing here in Southern California. And by the way, that book you showed me, what was the title of that book? I didn't get that.
Do you want your children back from Child Protective Services? I'm getting ready to release one for every single state.
Now, where do I get that book for any particular state? Is it on Amazon?
Well, it is on Amazon, the ones that have been released so far. I'm going to be launching my advocacy and consulting part of my website for families to have a membership to where they can get the guidelines for free. If they have a membership, I'll send them an actual rules and guidelines for free with their membership. And then they'll have access to me to ask me any questions on what.
1 minute.
I help parents write. I work with the lawyers because I'm not a lawyer, so I don't ever give legal advice. What I do is I make sure my parents have a good lawyer. I've actually used court-appointed lawyers and forced them to do what they needed to do. I actually got 2 lawyers barred because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And I got one debarred in Missouri, and then he tried to go work in Kansas, and I got him debarred in Kansas too. I got him debarred twice.
All right, my engineer is telling me we have to take a break now. Lucinda, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages with more calls, more stories, and more questions.